Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to talk about how to hand over your burdens. When you just don't have an answer and you're not getting anywhere. Okay, so Florence Scovel, Shinn, I highly recommend you look at her works. She was an 18th century, late 18th century New Thought author. She was actually an artist and a book illustrator and became a New Thought author and metaphysical teacher. And her works are incredible. I'll put a link in the description below just to have a look, and I'll probably do video on her writings and her teachings, and read some excerpts out of her amazing book. Her groundbreaking work was The Game of Life and How to Play It. So a neat little trick I learned from Florence Scovel Shinn was how to hand your burdens over to God or to the higher power or whatever it is that you believe in that's greater than you, greater than us, collectively. So I was just to share the story a little bit to give you an idea. I was really doing well, working on things, improving myself, becoming a better version of myself. And yes, there were days that were not so great, and overall it was just getting there, and not to say it was easy. It really takes consistency, and it really takes a clarity and a focus to maintain your mind, your thought, to entrain your neural track. So I was doing all of that, and there was just one or two issues and one or two people in my life that I still couldn't just get over. So I was working on it, and I was working on how to get over certain things that had happened in the past. And I would do really well in some instances, in some months. I would do well on it, and I'd think, wow, I'm making progress. And then I was making progress in other areas in my life, and then I would hit this wall, or something would happen between me and them, and it would all just go pear-shaped, and I would just feel like I was in this rock and a hard place when it came to this person or these people, and I'm not sure what that represents in your life. It could represent your family, your in-laws, your spouse, your friends, your business partners, your boss. It could represent any number of these people, individually or collectively, that where you're making inroads in so many other areas, and you're working on yourself and your patterns and different things. You're improving as a human being, and you're doing well in some areas and you're not doing so well in other areas, but overall, you're becoming a better version of yourself. But there's this one area in your life that's just, you just seem to be stuck each time. You're just hitting a brick wall. And one of my best friends, he also just, he's doing so well, but when it comes to certain people, like his brother, for instance, whenever he interacts with his brother, it just, sometimes it goes well and sometimes it just takes him back, and it just feels like all the spiritual or the new thought progress he's made as a human being just kind of like collapses and falls apart. So Florence Scovel Shinn says, just hand that burden over. So what you do is, in that area in your life, you just say, I hand this burden over to you. I'm going to use the word God, right? I hand this burden over to the divine. I hand this burden over to the universe. I hand it over, and I know, you open your heart, right, and you say, I know that the answer is going to come back to me in the perfect way, at the perfect time. And I know that God will unburden this from my heart. So in my example, I just couldn't, I was hanging out with these people, and I was spending time with them, and I was having fun. And then when we hit a patch in our relationship, I would then go back to the old stuff, and I just couldn't let go. I couldn't. I still felt hatred and forgiveness and unforgiveness. I couldn't forgive. I had tried to forgive, and it didn't work, and I tried to move on and let go. And I thought it had worked, and it didn't, because when things blew up, it revealed itself to me. The mirror reveals itself to you, you know, of where you are at any given point in time. You always have clarity about where you're at by looking at what's around you and your relationship to things. So I still had this hardness in my heart, and I couldn't adjust that stance. And I realized that as much as I was meditating and making progress and working on myself, this was still sitting in there like cement around my feet. I thought I was moving forward, but I was still being stuck, you know. And I handed that burden over. I just said, I just hand this burden over. I don't know what else to do. You know, I'm lost. I've tried everything, you know, and I just hand this burden over. And I've done it a few times, you know, on this particular topic. So don't give up the first try. Just do it, you know, and have faith. So I've done it, and then the most amazing, miraculous thing occurred, where I just got, I let go. I got distracted. I said, I'm handing it over. I don't know what else to do. The incident had happened. Things had fallen apart with one or two of these people, and I just was at a loss. You know, I was still angry and hurt and all these things. How could they do this? They know what they did. They need to account. Those were my stances that I just couldn't release from my mind and my heart and my feelings and my thoughts. You know, as hard as I tried, I just felt I couldn't let go. And then I handed it over, and I got to cooking a meal. I got to playing with the Huskies, Alpha and Yukon. I got to watching TV, and I got generally distracted. I just got generally distracted with what I was doing, you know. So I went to a non-threatening space, a non-threatening place, a non-triggering place. You know, food, the Huskies, some enjoyable TV, you know. TV can be destructive if it's too much of a distraction, but this wasn't. It was just pleasant, you know. And then I got to bed, and normally answers come to me in my face, you know. Normally answers come to me from my guidance, from my sixth sense, from my team, my higher self. And this time it didn't happen that way. This time it occurred slowly. It crept up on me, and I got into bed, and I completely forgot that I'd handed this over. And I was getting ready for bed, and the most amazing thing occurred, where I got guided gently over the abyss of this issue that had occurred, sometimes with some people for decades, sometimes recently, you know. And I got guided in terms of my role, but in such a way that was miraculous. You know, I had received many insights in the past, many things in the past, but I knew that this time it was different, you know. And the answer that comes to you takes care. It's an arc over your life, and it takes care of every little fragment of detail that you think, who would know this in your past? Who would know this incident, that incident? Who would know what happened to you? Who would know who did something to you? Who would know what you did to others? Who would know all of this? You know, and just trust, hand it over and let go, forget about it. And when you least expect it, it comes to you in the perfect way, how to handle it, how to deal with it, how to physically let go of it in your body, in your heart, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your being, and how to come to a new, refreshing perspective on your role in it. And I just felt unburdened. It had nothing to do with these people. I didn't call them up and say, oh, I got an insight and I forgive you, or can you forgive me, or let's move on. I didn't do any of that. I just did the work energetically in my private space, in my heart, in my mind. And I have never felt so light and so amazing about those instances and those circumstances and those things. I'd never felt so free, you know. And I just want to say to you, just hand it over. When there's something that you really feel you just can't get past, can't get over, um, can't, release, just hand it over and trust what comes back to you. And the more you step into that trusting space, the more you just work in that sixth sense to the world, and not rely only on the evidence of your five senses. The more you occupy that space, the answers that come back to you, you're not going to get them anywhere. They're inside of you. You've got a team waiting to guide you. I work with my team all the time. My angels, my guides, myself, my higher self. I trust a lot more, so I'm used to it. I don't no longer need to put a name on it or define it. So I know when things are coming to me, and what happened to me was just amazing. The thoughts and ideas that were being downloaded into my being, the perspectives that were given to me, the beliefs that were ripped out of me and chucked to the darkness from where they came. They just took care of all of that for me. All of that. I handed it over. And I no longer feel contracted into that space with those people. Maybe they do, and who am I? Who am I to judge them or anyone else? That's the other thing. And that hardness in my heart released. Those stances I had on this and that, etc., released. The fantasies I had about cutting those people off and never seeing them again, that got released. So many things just fell off me. It just melted away miraculously. I spent 3 hours just getting downloads, and writing and just purging. It was phenomenal. So that's just a trick. I hand this burden over to you, the higher part of whatever you believe. I hand it over, and I trust that whatever answer goes back to me is perfect, in perfect timing, perfect for me. And I know that it's going to be transmuted into a higher vibration. Whatever I'm feeling, I hand it over. So you're not alone, okay? Just trust, okay? And let go. Love you. Bye.